Good morning and welcome to the ATO's webinar giving an overview of the road freight industry from a tax perspective. My name is Michelle and I'll be your webinar moderator. Today you'll be hearing from Dale Hulling, Assistant Director for the Taxable Payments Reporting System or TPRS. As a former small business person, Dale's strong empathy for the business community drives his desire to create a level playing field that supports fair and successful business activity at all levels. Dale will inform transport operators on industry-based statistics, your obligations, and give you a guide to the TPRS. Like always, we'd love to hear from you during today's presentation. If you have any questions, please feel free to type in your questions in the Q&A section at the bottom of your screen during the session. This session will also have an interactive survey, and you can scan the QR code on the screen right now, and all responses will remain anonymous. Today's webinar will be recorded and uploaded to the NatRoad website and YouTube channel. So welcome, Dale. Over to you.
Good morning, Michelle, and good morning, everybody. Thank you very much for your time today. Really appreciate this opportunity to present a little bit of our tax world to the road freight industry. So if we can have the first slide, please. If you haven't had a chance to scan the QR code, perhaps we'll go back for a moment. Sorry about that. And as Michelle said, this is purely just for being interactive in the presentation, and there's no metadata or anything recorded, so it is anonymous. All right, let's move on. So today's presentation is road freight, TPRS, and the ATO, navigating the road to compliance. There's a few acronyms there, but we will explain those as we go along. So the first is a little test to make sure that our interactive platform is working. If you could take one celebrity on a long haul trip, who would it be? Just type your responses in and they'll appear up on the screen. We'll give about 20 seconds for that. I think that would be a good doubles partner for a road trip for sure. Kate Beckinsale. All right, let's move on. Thank you for that. So what do we want to achieve out of today's webinar? We'd like to build awareness and understanding of ATO lodgement and reporting obligations in the road freight industry. We want to increase our engagement with your industry through your peak bodies such as NatRoads and also directly to your businesses to help us identify barriers to compliance. We'd like to look at creating a culture where there's an increase in the on-time lodgements across the road freight industry for TPAR, which is the Taxable Payment Annual Reporting Form, business activity statements, and also income tax returns. And we'd also like to talk to you about how to decrease and manage debt to the ATO across the road freight industry. We've had a number of meetings and attended a couple of conferences previously, and from those we've seen that fuel tax credits are obviously something that's a big issue for the industry. Assistance with understanding the 10% rule for TPAR lodgements, and also complexities in calculating superannuation for long distance drivers. But any further feedback that you'd like to provide in today's session, we'll certainly take on board. So just the next interactive piece is, where are you accessing this webinar from? If you just drop a pin in the state or close to the capital city that you're attending, or wherever you're attending from in Australia today. We'll give about another 20 seconds for that one. All right, we may be being plagued by a little technical problem there. We might move on. So what is taxable payment reporting and how does it relate to the road freight industry? The Taxable Payment Reporting System, TPRS, is designed to combat shadow economy behaviour by assisting you to report to ensure contractors report their income correctly. In 2023, almost $450 billion was reported by over 170,000 entities for payments made to over 1.3 million contractors nationwide. If your business provides road freight services and makes payments to contractors for road freight and some other services, you may need to report those payments in a taxable payment annual report, the TPAR, by the 28th of August each year. You report by the 28th of August, but it is for the preceding financial year. So you'll be reporting 23-24 on the 28th of August, 2024. So our definition of road freight services includes things like towing, road freight services including goods, livestock, material, merchandise and wares, driver-operated trucks, delivery services, and also log haulage. Road freight industry activities does not include passenger transport services, including buses and taxis, courier services, although they can be reported separately, operating road freight terminals, providing crating and packing for road freight services, and leasing or hiring of trucks without drivers. So contractors, of course, are the businesses or even individuals that you pay for road freight services. They include business-to-business transactions, and a contracting business can be any business structure, and you must report them regardless of whether they have an Australian business number, ABN, or not. The system does not include payments made to employees for road freight services. Employees are not contractors, and obviously you would capture those through your payroll. Contractors for services for private purposes, for example, furniture removal services to your own home, that's not reportable either. So another interactive slide here is, have you used contractors in 2024? All right, we may be having a bit of issue with our interactive slides, so we'll move on. So I'd like to present to you some tax facts related specifically to the road freight industry. First one is registration. And as you can see, since 2020, close to 30,000 road freight entities each year have been identified as being not registered for GST, but are receiving GST payments. Obviously, if they are not registered, they shouldn't be receiving those payments. And that may be a reflection of them incorrectly billing you. As at the 31st of December last year, there were actually 165,000 active ABNs in the road freight industry, but not all of them are registered for GST, obviously. So, time to talk about debt. The road freight industry, as at the 31st of December 2023, had almost $1.155 billion in tax debt. And as you can see, it's been a steady escalation over the past 5 years. Debt, in fact, has accrued by over 159% in that period. The good news is that debt arrangements or payment plans have increased by 360% in that time as well. And that's a clear reflection of the industry meeting the ATO to arrange to meet their debt through a payment arrangement to help support cash flow. And if you haven't considered that in the past, I would suggest, if you do have outstanding ATO debt, that it's a really good way to be able to budget and deal with that debt. In the first half of this year, there's already over 7,000 active payment plans for the road freight industry. So just with a lens on the TPRS, let's talk about lodgement. You can see that the good news is that over the past 4 years, the lodgement, late lodgement of TPRS has decreased quite dramatically. And you can see an uptick in the on-time lodgement, which is great. However, the disturbing thing for us is that there's been a big increase in lodgements not received. So in 2023, over 6,000 road freight entities lodged a TPAR. The most common way is through the ATO online portals, and TPARs are more commonly received either late or remain outstanding for the road freight industry when compared to the other TPRS industries. So the outcome of not lodging on time, unfortunately, is the imposition of a failure to lodge penalty. And the TPAR failure to lodge penalty campaign recommenced in 2023, where almost 400 unique road freight entities were penalised in the FTL campaign, and almost 270 so far this year. This equates to $562,620 in penalties applied in 2023, and over $415,000 in 2024. I cannot emphasise enough, this is not money that we want to take out of your industry. This is money that there is no good reason to be paying. All we're asking is to lodge your form on time. And if you have unforeseen circumstances, such as natural disasters or something like that, just reach out to us. We can talk about potentially extending your lodgement date and thereby avoiding a penalty. So we'll pop this up for 30 seconds and see if it works. If it doesn't, we'll just move on. But what do you find most challenging in your business record keeping? Maintaining business records, lodging on time, keeping business registrations up to date, making payments, or other? Okay, thank you for that response. And as I say, if you are having trouble meeting your tax obligations, please do reach out and talk to us and see if we can assist you in payment arrangements as well. Okay, let's move on. So what if you provide both road freight and other services? So if an arrangement with your customer involves providing both road freight services, and the road freight services are either composite supply of delivering the goods, i.e. the delivery is essential, ancillary or incidental to the supply of the goods. Therefore, the delivery involved is not a road freight service. Mixed supply of road freight services and goods, the delivery part of the service is a large cost or could be made as a separate supply. Therefore, the delivery part is a road freight service. Don't worry too much about this. We've got an example coming up in a moment that will explain it better. But essentially, also, if your business provides both road freight and courier services, you should combine those payments received for both services and complete this when you work out if you do need to lodge a TPAR. You can choose to lodge a TPAR even if you don't make the 10% threshold test, which we'll talk about in a moment. And also, if you're unsure, it's better to lodge than to not lodge. Now, as this webinar will be recorded, you can refer to these slides in the future, but there's a specific road freight services page on the Australian Taxation Office website. And when you go into the ATO website, which is ato.gov.au, you can simply type QC57698 into the search bar, and that will take you straight to that page, or do a search for road freight services. So the 10% rule, effectively, even if road freight services are only part of what your business provides, you may still need to fill out a TPR. If the total payments received for road freight services are 10% or more of your gross business income, you must lodge. To calculate your eligibility, you should consider how much of the business income came from road freight services. Add up the money your business was paid for providing those services for the financial year, 1st of July to 30th of June. Include payments for services provided by both employees and contractors or subcontractors, and work out the total amount of business income for the year. So, an example. Outback Farmers Proprietary Limited is a business that has an ABN. It has an agreement to supply and transport livestock. The 10% test means that their current business income for a financial year from selling livestock is $1 million. The total payments received by Outback Farmers for road freight services is $80,000, and this would likely be a delivery fee charged during the financial year. To work out if you need to lodge, the formula is the payment for road freight services, $80,000, divided by the current business income of $1 million, times 100 to get percentage, and you can see that percentage is only 8% of their business income. So the $80,000 tells us that you do not need to lodge a TPR. This also applies if there is no payment for the road freight services. For example, if the cost of the livestock is inclusive of them being delivered without any separate payment. But obviously, if your income were to exceed $100,000 for the road freight costs, then a TPR would be required. Tip-offs and a fraud case study related to the road freight industry. Unfortunately, like in any industry, there are people out there that aren't doing the right thing. And we can help you, and you can help us to do something about that. So your industry has risen in the past couple of years from number 7 to number 4 of the top industries for reported tax evasion behaviours. Most Australians believe that a level playing field is the way to go and feel it's unfair for others to gain a competitive advantage intentionally doing the wrong thing. This puts pressure on all of us who are doing the right thing and has broader impacts to our community and our economy. So in 2023, we had over 830 tip-offs related to the road freight industry, and 95% of them were analysed as suitable for further investigation or retained as useful intelligence. 51% of the behaviours related to cash transactions and included things like cash sales, omitted income, cash wages, unpaid super, and pay-as-you-go withholding not paid correctly. We're committed to tackling Phoenix tax evasion and tax fraud and any shadow economy activity. You can help keep the system fair for everyone by making a tip-off. It only takes a few minutes, and you can either use the tip-off form, which is available on the ATO website, or in the Contact Us section of the ATO app. And if you are running a small business and don't have the ATO app, I would highly recommend it. You can also phone the ATO tip-off hotline, and you can remain anonymous. There are tax whistleblowers' legal protections, which protect you when you disclose tax avoidance behaviour and other tax issues to us. So if you see someone doing the wrong thing and it's in direct competition to your business, then help yourself by helping us. In 2021, a man was sentenced to 10 further years in jail after being found guilty of wrongly obtaining $4 million of taxpayer money by creating fake transport businesses and lodging false rebate claims for the fuel for those businesses. Between 2002 and 2006, the convicted, who were already operating trucking businesses, created 3 additional dummy companies using false identities and lodged fraudulent claims for more than 20 million litres of fuel. We obviously investigated and found that there were no trucks registered to any of the businesses that were claiming those rebates, and there were no records to substantiate or support those claims. We do undertake targeted reviews to address overclaiming and deliberate non-compliance. Again, while most people do the right thing, those who deliberately cheat the tax system can expect to feel the full force of the law. Finally, we've just put together a bit of a toolbox to assist you with not only lodging your TPR on time, but also some other tax matters. So, has anyone in the audience ever lodged a TPR before? Might err on the side of maybe for that one then. Oh, there we go. No. All right. Let's move on. So if you do need to lodge your taxable payment annual return online, as we said, the most popular way within the industry and also the easiest way is to access your ATO online account. If you have an outstanding TPAR, it will appear in your for action dialog box. And step 2 is to simply prepare to lodge by selecting the year that you need to. Step 3 involves you just putting in your own business details. Step 4 is entering each of the payees, and you will note that the software has an ABN lookup so that you can check that you've got the right ABN with the right payee. And then the final step is simply to lodge it. So the online form can cope with 20 payees. So if you do use a large number of contractors, you might need to submit a couple of forms, or most good business software, accounting software now, will generate a TPAR report and you can lodge that directly. If you do not have a requirement to lodge, i.e. you don't meet the 10% rule, but you have lodged a TPAR in the past, then you can simply let us know again through ATO online that you don't need to lodge by ticking the non-lodgement box and submitting that. Do you think you need to lodge a TPAR in 2024 after what we've talked about today? Okay, so the likelihood that you don't need to lodge a TPAR would be that you operate your business purely with employees, or you're a sole trader. All right, thank you. So if you do need to lodge a TPAR and you haven't had that experience yet, we do have an online simulator. It's called the ATO Online Services Simulator. And this allows you to basically practice lodging a number of different tax forms and scenarios. But to lodge a TPAR form practice, you need to select scenario 4, and then you can go through and lodge as many practice returns as you like until you're familiar and comfortable with the interface. We also highly recommend using the ABN lookup page or the ABN lookup on the ATO app to make sure that the ABN that you're putting in relates to the payee that you've actually paid. And this is also a good step to ensure that your payees aren't committing any kind of fraud by providing you with an incorrect ABN. There are a number of things you should review when doing your lodgement, specifically around making sure that you're not entering decimal points or cents or dollar signs or anything like that. You can round up payments. So 51 cents and above, you round up to the next dollar. 50 cents and below, you can round down to for example, there, $100 if it's $100.30. So for that person that did lodge a TPAR, how do you lodge it? The options that we're aware of course, are tax or BAS agent, lodge yourself online, through a family member or friend, You may have a structure where you have an internal admin section, and you are still, at the moment, able to lodge by paper. Lots of limitations around the paper form, and the biggest one, of course, is that you can only lodge 9 payees on a paper form. So obviously, if you have a number of contractors, it's pretty labour intensive to use that. So strongly recommend using one of the digital lodgement methods. All right, thank you. So the ATO has recently created the Essentials to Strengthen Your Small Business website, which includes over 20 short courses for small business owners to master tax and super obligations. As you can see, it's broken down into various categories. If you're new to business, there's the startup section, there's the day-to-day running, there's things like change of structure and that sort of thing. And even if you're winding your business up, there are sections on how to do that as well. Understand that everybody in the industry is time poor. So we have made sure that these are basically micro courses. They're high on content and not very long on time. So the ones specific to what we're talking about today are reporting payments made to contractors, providing road freight and other services. So specifically designed for this industry. Record keeping for contractor records, that's across TPR, but also very useful. And reporting payments made to contractors, what are road freight services? So as you can see, if you can't remember some of the material from today, you can always go to that website and have a look at some of those micro courses. All right, final slide. After hearing this presentation, which information did you get the most from? Making a tip-off, what is TPR, state of the road freight industry, or debt in the road freight industry? All right. Excellent. So finally, we do just have some contact details. And again, the webinar is being recorded, so they'll be available to you going forward. You've got lodge and pay there if you do need to talk about your debt or make payment arrangements. Our own TPR reporting specialists, there's a 1300 number you can call with a PIN number to get straight through. Superannuation and business numbers are there, as well as the ATO tip-offs line. And if there's anything that we've spoken about today, or you'd like to provide feedback on both this presentation and any concerns around the road freight industry generally that we should know about, please feel free to use that RF project, road freight project, at ato.gov.au email, and that will come directly to our team. So thank you very much for your time today. I hope there's been some useful information here, and we can't thank you enough for allowing us to engage directly with you. So thank you.
Thank you again, Dale, for making the time to talk to us today. If you have any other questions, you can either contact the contact numbers there, or you can also email info@natroad.com.au, and we can pass it on to Dale and his team. And we encourage you to also share this presentation once it's uploaded to the Natroad website with others, in case others also have problems or need support with lodging this information. Thank you again, and have a great day.